Hated it.
This is what's great about sports. This is what the greatest thing about sports is. You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game.
Winning isn't everything, but it's the only thing. In our business, there is no second place. Either you're first or you're last.
Ain't this what they've been waiting for? You ready?
And now, the W with Walls and the crew.
Good morning.
Where winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. On 100.1 FM.
Good morning.
And Facebook Live.
Good morning. Another Saturday morning with your guys of the W Show. As always, thank you for tuning in, whether you are in your car on 100.1 FM, One Kansas City Radio, watching us via Facebook Live at the W Show KC, or however you're watching us. Make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube, the W Show KC, on all social media platforms. Coming up on today's show, we've got a lot to get into. First of all, I want to say 4th of July. This is the 4th of July edition of our show. So appreciate you guys taking time again on this Saturday. So coming up on today's show, we'll have K-State basketball player Christiana Carr. She'll be joining us to talk about a disgusting image that was sent to her last week after she tweeted about racism. Also, Chief star Frank Clark is doing something remarkable in the Kansas City community. And will the Chiefs pay Chris Jones? Will he sit out? Chris Jones tweeted something interesting earlier this week that has fans concerned. And Cam Newton is back, but not with the Panthers. We'll talk about all this and more coming up later on today's show. First of all, I'm Steve Walls, and just like each and every week, I'm joined by the other two hosts of the show, my guys, DJ Q and Noah. What's up, guys? How you guys doing?
Yeah, what up?
How was you guys' week?
It was good so far, man. Just trying to get used to this mask everywhere policy.
Right. There's still plenty of people out there that don't wear masks.
Oh, plenty. I saw them last night.
First time. Yeah.
So what do you guys have going on this week?
For me, man, just working on some new business ventures. That's pretty much been my last 2 weeks.
Really? Cool. No, how'd yourself?
I took it easy this week. I didn't really do too much. Went to the loo for the first time. Not for the first time, but for the first time to ever be there for an extended period of time. I've only been there for basketball. I decided to get some of that Chinaman. See what the hubbub is about, man.
Yeah.
And they wasn't lying though. I ain't gonna lie. They wasn't lying. They
Which one did you go to? You remember?
I went to Egg Roll Kitchen.
Okay.
Right next to downtown. That's where my friend, shout out Marcus Johnson, my first college roommate at Park. That's where he's from. He told me to go there. So it was pretty good, man. I can't lie. I cannot lie.
What did you get though? What's your go-to?
Man. I mean, they said get the shrimp fried rice.
Yeah.
No vegetable. 2 egg roll. Because I asked him, I was like, "Hey, man, what's the standard order?" And he was like, "Hey, this is what it is."
You didn't get a St. Paul?
Nah, what's that?
Yeah. When we go, I'll put you on.
Okay.
What is that? I don't know.
His homie didn't put him on a St. Louis staple. So, but it's the egg foo young. but it's on a sandwich.
Oh yeah. Don't know what that is. He didn't mention that one either, but he might have been too geeked that I was actually there to like tell me anything else.
Yeah, it's like egg and shrimp and everything in it, scrambled together and mixed in. And then they, it's like a little patty, and then you put it on a sandwich.
Wow.
Yeah,
now that
sounds good. Honestly,
yeah. We'll have to go one day.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Short 3-hour drive. We can do it.
Yeah,
Easy.
Yeah, it wasn't that.
All right, let's get into today's headline.
And now, here are the biggest sports headlines from this week. We bring them to you every Saturday morning on the W with Walls and the Crew on 100.1 FM and Facebook Live.
All right, so Chiefs defensive end Frank Clark is helping out the Kansas City community. So Frank Clark will pay for the funeral of legend Taliaferro, 4-year-old who was shot and killed while sleeping on Monday morning. So Clark will also play in legend's name during the first game of the season against the Houston Texans. So Frank said via Twitter that he is RIP to legend Taliaferro. Crazy in the midst of movement, we still managed to do foolish things. He was killed as he slept in his home due to gun violence. His mother, Sharon Powell, needs us let his name be heard.
Big time.
I definitely think that's huge for Frank as he's stepping up for a community that he's not from. You hear about a lot of NFL players and other superstar athletes that Floyd Mayweather paying for George Floyd's services, and you hear about it all the time. But I haven't seen a player from the team that I know of, from this Chiefs team, that has ever done anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a great gesture. I remember seeing earlier in the week that she was wanting to collect donations on Cash App, so that was great for him to really step in like that.
And you know what? It's one of those things to where it's a sad story, but this is kind of warms your heart to see a guy that does something like this.
Yeah,
I would say so. I mean, like you said, if she was asking for a donation, she probably wasn't in a position. I mean, nobody really is in any position to have to bury their 4-year-old. So it's huge, and thank God that we have players in the NFL who care, because a lot of times we don't. It's hard to find somebody who will do something random and nice for somebody like that. So big ups to Franco.
Exactly. Chiefs fans are a little worried. Chris Jones, he's in the news. So Chiefs franchise defensive lineman Chris Jones, he tweeted earlier this week, perhaps he won't play for the Chiefs in 2020. So Jones, replying to an NFL Network video regarding his contract situation, tweeted Tuesday night, not playing in 2020 was an option, bringing up running back Le'Veon Bell's 2018 holdout with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So he said via Twitter, "Or I won't play." At Le'Veon Bell told me about this. So you heard fans tweeted to him, and it tweeted to Le'Veon Bell and Chris Jones and said, "Didn't Bell get less than he wanted after sitting out a year?"
I don't think that was true. Actually, didn't he get I thought he got around.
No, he got paid, but then he also got guaranteed money, I believe. So
that's what it was, guaranteed money. So I don't know what I was talking about.
Yeah, Le'Veon Bell had not sure what the clicking is. We're gonna take a quick break and try to figure out what the clicking is, and we'll be right back on the W Show 100.1 FM.
You're tuned in to the W with Walls and the Crew, where winning isn't everything. It's the only thing on 100.1 FM and Facebook Live. You're tuned in to the W with Walt and the crew, where winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. On 100.1 FM and Facebook Live.
All right, so we're back in on the W with the guys here at the W. So appreciate you guys tuning in on this 4th of July. You guys popping any fireworks today?
No, I'm still celebrating Juneteenth.
Yeah, I mean the kids though is like my son. He's going crazy trying to figure out when we're gonna go get some fireworks.
Yeah, just tell them we're celebrating Juneteenth still.
Of course.
It's your great uncle's birthday on July 4th. Tell him that.
His great uncle's birthday.
That's what we celebrate.
All right, back to Chris Jones, man. If you guys don't remember, the Chiefs used the non-exclusive franchise tag on Jones back in March. They still have until July 15th to reach a long-term contract, but Jones has yet to sign the tag, which would pay him $16.1 million next season.
Yeah, and he deserves more. He deserves more. We talked about it, especially on the Red Hour. We talked about how valuable he was to the defense, but not only just the defense as a whole, that front line, and being able to stop the run, and not necessarily stop the run, but being able to not be as porous in the run game. We saw how bad they were. What was that in Tennessee against the Titans against the run, and then a short 2 weeks after that, Chris Jones comes back and it's like the defense gets a big old Band-Aid.
Right, and the thing about it is, if he would not have played in the if he wouldn't have played in the AFC Championship game, I think, and the Chiefs would have won, I think they could have parted ways. But right now, you really don't know. Realistically, we all understand it. The Chiefs are not better without him.
So, quick question. As far as the average defensive end, because a lot of people may not know, but as far as the average defensive end that gets paid per year, around what is their contract worth? Seeing as the franchise tag is $16.1 million.
Well, it depends on position. A lot of positions are different. Tyron, I want to say no. Tyron wasn't under a franchise tag. I forget who it was that was just recently on it, but they were getting somewhere around the same.
So it depends on, like you said, Q. It kind of just depends on what have you done for me lately, sort of thing. You have a guy like J.J. Watt. We talked to Cam Jordan when we were on Radio Row at the Super Bowl. Guys like that. When you're leading the league in sacks, that would determine your worth. And so they base it off of what are you worth? Now, Chris Jones, he's won a Super Bowl now, so that branch bumps him up another tier.
Yeah.
On the pay scale. So when you look at it like that, and I think Chris it realistically would want $19 to $20 million a year, probably a 4 or 5 year deal, $100 million.
Okay. So
Yeah.
This is for people at home who may not understand how contracts work. The disadvantages of signing a 1 year franchise tag deal is he's going to get less than what he would get per year on the market, and that's another year of uncertainty if he would get that contract next year, because who knows what would happen next year, basically.
Exactly, and this is based on what you're worth. Now I looked up different deals. He wants to be one of the top. He wants to be one of the top paid players in the league. And you won a Super Bowl. That's what you set out to be. Once you win a Super Bowl, it's like you've done that. Now your next goal is to get paid. You've stayed healthy for the most part. So that's what it is. So we're going to take another quick break. We have Christiana Carr joining us here after our break. We'll be right back.
You're tuned in to the W with Walls and the Crew, where winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. On 100.1 FM and Facebook Live. Tuned in to the W with Walls and the Crew, where winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. On 100.1 FM and Facebook Live.
We're back here live, the W Show, 100.1 FM. Appreciate you guys joining us again on this 4th of July. Q and Noel, is it sunny where you guys are at?
Kinda. It's a little gloomy.
Exactly. But that's the thing about 4th of July, man. This is always like gloomy. Then the sun will come out, then it rains, and then it's nighttime, and then you do what you do.
It seems like that every year. It's crazy.
All right, joining us on today's show, we have Christiana Carr, junior guard for Kansas State University. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you guys?
Not too bad.
Good.
Not too bad. First of all, how are you? How are you and your family?
My family's doing good. We're doing really, really well. Just enjoying the time that we're spending together and, under these unfortunate events of COVID, but everyone's doing good.
Now, you mentioned COVID, but how are you spending your time off? Have you been working out? Walk us through your day-to-day routine.
I wake up in the morning. I go get breakfast. We have mandatory breakfast from 9 to 10. So I go get breakfast, and then I eat my breakfast, watch some Grey's Anatomy. I usually am on probably a Zoom call or something in between that time as well. I work out from like 1 to 3 with my pops and my brother and just a couple people. And then after that, I'm usually hopping on another Zoom call till about 5 or 6-ish. And then I got mandatory dinner from 5 to 6. And then I eat my dinner, watch some more Grey's Anatomy, and repeat it the next day.
Yeah.
That's like a straight routine. Grey's Anatomy, work out, eat, work out, Zoom. That's definitely a routine.
Yep.
You've been very vocal during the various protests following the George Floyd's murder. I saw your videos, and you were marching protesters. Were you in Wichita?
My first protest that I went to was in Topeka, and then I protested again in Manhattan twice, and then I went back home to Minneapolis to protest and help with donations back home in Minneapolis as well. So I've kind of been all over the place. Everyone kind of tells me like, "Oh my gosh, Chrissy, you need to chill out. You're all over the place." But it was good to be back home and protest. I felt bad not being able to be there when everything was going on, but it was just too dangerous to go back home. So I stayed in Kansas and kind of just did what I could in Kansas.
And you spoke out last week after a student posted an offensive tweet about George Floyd. After that, you were one of the leaders of the charge for Black athletes at K-State for the university to implement a new policy. For people that don't know what exactly happened, that are just tuning in, can you walk us through what happened?
Yeah, so I was kind of late to seeing the tweet. I woke up to a bunch of text messages about just a whole bunch of tweets. I mean, people send me tweets all the time, just funny ones, and me and my friends do that. But I woke up to a couple people sending me the tweet, and they were like, "What are you going to do?" Or "We're waiting on you to say something about it." And I was kind of like, what in the world? But I woke up, grabbed my breakfast. I was heading to a workout. We worked out earlier that day. So I was heading to my workout and I sat in the parking lot waiting to get in. And I was like, let me look at these tweets real quick. And I saw it. And I was kind of scrolling through, just gathering information before I tweeted out something, because that's one thing that Coach Mitty has advised us to do, is gather all your information before you take it to social media. And so that's really what I sat in my car for the next 10 minutes did. But he tweeted out, congratulations to George Floyd on being 1 month drug free on the month anniversary of his passing. And so after that, I did my workout. I hopped on a phone call with Julian, and I advised that we got all the student athletes on a phone call. Because I was talking to my dad about, I was like, okay, I saw a couple football players said that they weren't going to play for university that tolerated that. So I was like, my voice has been heard all across the country. And so I feel like I would be doing my student athletes and my friends a disservice if I didn't take part in that as well, if I didn't fully go through with it. So we decided that my dad thought it was a better idea to try to get the whole student athlete, all of them on board. So we hopped on a Zoom call and kind of just discussed what we were going to do and action plans next. And somebody was like, well, I don't want to play if this is what they're going to do. And so everyone's kind of agreeing with that. So that's the first step, that we decided that we weren't going to play. And I was like, all right, guys, then we need to kind of put in a action plan to what's going to get us back playing. And then we kind of set some guidelines with that, as far as what policies we want put in place to help prevent situations like this from happening in the future. Then we kind of talked more about what we want to see out of the current situation. And we came out with a statement. We had some people type out a statement, and we came out with it that afternoon. And yeah, that was kind of the whole thing right there.
Now, you received some regarding a statement that you put out there. You received some positive feedback and some negative feedback, and talk about because I saw the post that you had posted regarding some of the negative feedback that you received. Can you share that with us?
Yeah, when I posted the thing about, if you don't support me with this, then don't support me with that, and it was a picture of me holding up a Black Lives Matter sign, and that was a picture of me playing basketball. And I got a lot of negative feedback with that. There were some death threats with that, but they were tweeted out and then they were taken down, probably by Twitter or whatever. Because there were so many comments that I kind of just was trying to just read through all of them. But then I got a message sent to me of a picture with me hanging from a tree. And after that, I was just like, I feel like this is something that I need to share with everybody, just so they know that this is something that is real. It's still going on. Because a lot of comments under my posts were more about Black fragility. She's just whining because women's basketball doesn't get that much publicity. She's just trying to get publicity and all this stuff. And I find it hilarious that I'm over here whining over basic human rights. And that was my biggest thing, is nobody's over here crying because I want publicity for women's basketball. Nobody's over here crying because of something stupid that a kid said on Twitter. I'm over here mad more than anything. Nobody's over here crying, but I'm over here mad because you guys think that it's a joke. And first of all, the joke wasn't funny. And second of all, you lack just basic care about human life in general. Like it would be wrong of me to go back and figure out, or go on Twitter and congratulate somebody's friend, grandma, aunt, uncle, or something if they passed away from cancer, congratulating them on being 1 month cancer free. But nobody thinks about it like that.
Yeah.
And so if the roles were reversed, if I were to tweet that out to, let's say, Jada McNeil, hey, congratulations on so-and-so from being 1 month free of this, and that's what they passed away from, that would be wrong.
Right.
And I would expect myself to receive consequences for that, because that is flat out wrong. But
definitely.
Just with everything going on, it was just, there's a time and a place. Those are jokes that you make sure that if you are going to crack them, you make sure that the people around you aren't going to run and tell nobody, and you crack them in a tightly sealed door that nobody can hear you, because those are the things that are going to not only raise eyebrows, but it's going to turn some heads, and it's going to give you some nasty feedback with that. So I think our university reacted the way that they needed to. I think that our student athletes reacted the way that they needed to, and our coaching staff as well.
Yeah. And speaking of this white supremacist in training that's on campus, what do you feel, or what do you know about the organization that he started on campus?
The information that I've gathered, I mean, over this past week, I would say I've been gathering more information than I have in a really long time. I know with the whole George Floyd thing, it was very just cut and dry. Here was the situation. I try to stay away from all the conspiracies and stuff like that, because you go crazy if you pay attention to that kind of stuff. There's too much that people are saying and too much like stuff. So, but with this situation, you really have to do your research with what it is and all that stuff. And the main reason why is because I didn't want to put anybody in a position where we reacted to this comment and it turns out that he didn't even go to K-State.
Okay.
And then here we are, who made this big statement about K-State needs to do something, and K-State can't even do anything because he's not even a student. And then what are we going to do? We're probably going to look stupid all coming back and playing because we overreacted. And that was the biggest thing, that we wanted to make sure that when we were gathering the information, that it was all fact-based. But what we know about the group that he was involved in, we know that it wasn't a group funded by K-State. They're an independent group. The requirements to be a group, to be considered a Kansas State group, it has to be more than a certain number of people. And I know that it didn't meet the requirements for that. So technically they're not a university qualified group. So that was something that we were pleased to hear. And also from President Myers and from some people on the staff within the university stated that the university has never funded any of the programs that Jaden McNeil is associated with. And so that was another good thing to hear. But as far as moving forward, we wanted to put policies in place to ensure safety, because the groups that he is tied to within our university, I mean, just university events in general, the groups that he is tied to can be very dangerous for not only student athletes, but students of color on campus and campuses around the country. And especially since Kansas State is an open carry state, that makes things 10 times more scary. And so that was one of the reasons that we brought up to President Myers, was that we wanted students. So the students left campus spring break, haven't been back since. They see this tweet a couple months before they're supposed to come back to the university. What are we going to do about that? They see all the stuff trending on social media. They see the hate groups. They see all the hate groups behind the scenes that are getting exposed, that are claimed to be a part of Kansas State University, which they're not, but they claim to be. So if I was a student that didn't live in Kansas and I was supposed to be heading back in 2 months, I wanted to come back, especially a student of color. I wanted to be able to come back to a new university with new policies that ensures my safety. Definitely. And that is the biggest thing that we're trying to push to get all of this going into place. We understand that it takes time, but we wanted our students to be able to come back and feel safe, know that they're when their parents are sending them back to school, that they're going to be safe. Because I mean, with all these problems going on, anything can happen. I mean, I know you guys probably saw the truck that drove through a bunch of protesters in Minneapolis.
Right.
My sisters went to that protest. My sisters were in the bulk of the group whenever it happened, but my sisters were like, we had no idea. They said it was going to be a peaceful protest. We were all sitting there, just kneeling on the concrete, and here comes a semi going through.
Yep.
And so it's hard with these situations. You don't really know what can happen or whatever, and that's the biggest thing, as far as just from a university standpoint. What steps can we take to try to lower the risk of that happening on something like on our campus?
And you mentioned Kansas being an open carry state, and we look at recent history. Dylan Roof, shooting and killing 9 members in the church after praying with them. You look at a couple of different incidents around the country. You look at Wichita just a couple of years ago. The FBI intervened on 2 white men planning to bomb a Somalian community, and just thinking about the ways that this this white supremacist in training on K-State's campus, potentially being violent and carrying out an act of violence. We look at Kent State, what happened out there I believe in the 70s, I think it was. How does this change your outlook on life? Not even just being in such close proximity with a potential terrorist, but how does the different protests, the different people that you meet throughout protests, how does this change your outlook on life, and does it like grow you up a little bit?
It most definitely does. I've met some amazing people protesting from all walks of life, wealthy, poor, Black, white, Asian, Hispanic. And it's been a great opportunity to be able to meet with them, but not only meet new people, but connect with people that you never thought you would have this connection with on a deeper level, a deeper understanding. I never thought that I would have these kind of conversations with my head coach, but knowing his heart, he was very open to having these conversations, and the way that he supported me through all of this, I just feel like we've grown a deeper connection, not only from a coach to a player, but from just one person to another. And, the thing that does scare me the most out of all of this is, I told my mom this, you could look at a student like Jaden McNeil and you could see him at the bars, you could see him on campus, you could see him walking on the side of the road, and you would never guess what groups he is affiliated with.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, is you never really know how close you are to somebody like that until they show their hand.
Yeah.
And that is I'd say that would probably be the scariest part of all of that. As I was doing research about I saw people tweeting out these two women's names. And I was like, well, I wonder what their story is. I wonder why people are doing this. I was in a protest and they said both their names. And I was like, that sparked me. So I put it in my notes and I sat there and I was like, okay, I'm going to do some research on these girls, because I don't want to be protesting and not know what I'm protesting for.
Of course.
And so I looked up their names, and it was two sisters walking. I forgot their names, but two sisters walking on the side of a road late at night. And some guy came up and stabbed both of them in the neck.
Yeah.
And his only reasoning behind it was because they were Black.
Yeah.
And that I told that to President Myers. I said, I want to try to avoid situations like that. Now, I don't know if that's ever going to happen, or if anybody's ever thinking of doing that. I don't know, but you won't know until it happens.
Definitely.
And so what are we going to do when we have to make that phone call to somebody's family that their child was killed because of the color of their skin?
Definitely. And even in that sense, that's something that you can talk to, your coaches about, and the different administrators about, because history has shown that, terrorists like these, they do attack, and they do get very frustrated, especially in the current climate that we're in. A lot of racist statues are falling. Just this week, just yesterday, J.C. Nichols, who was the architect of racial discrimination in housing and redlining, he had his name changed from the streets and the fountains in Kansas City. So you even me, I think about the racial backlash that could cause. So even in that, what are the athletes planning any type of group or any type of organization on campus that may be like anti-racist? What are you guys' plans, really moving forward?
Yeah, we so after a lot of very long Zoom calls with our university staff, we have came to the decision that we are going to start a board to help implement new policies like these, and we're going to have on that board people from all walks of life. I think that was our biggest emphasis on, if we're going to make this board, you can't have people speaking for people who don't understand what they're going through.
Right.
I wouldn't want somebody speaking for me and telling other people how to treat me or how to go about how I carry myself if you don't know what I'm going through.
Mm-hmm.
And So, I mean, I think you guys can kind of read between the lines on what that entails. But just as far as nobody can speak better for a student athlete than a student athlete themselves. Nobody can speak better for a white person than a white person themselves. Nobody can speak better for a black person than a black person themselves. And so whenever we made this board to kind of come up with a decision on how we're going to go about new policies and making sure that the timing of this is right, we decided to add a couple student athletes, a couple people from the Black Student Union at Kansas State, a couple people from different types of areas, and we have everybody on there. And I think that is the greatest part about it, is you can be able to connect with all different types of people, A, and B, whenever that voice comes out, you know that whenever the statement and the policy come out, you know that it's not just a voice of one group of people. It's a voice of all different groups of people with shared ideas. And that is the thing that I feel like our university has done a really, really good job of, is making sure that everybody has had a voice in this.
Definitely.
When President Myers hopped on the call with those athletes, I mean, there were some people that were angry, and President Myers was more than open to listen to that and listen to the concerns and listen to the anger and the hurt. And that is the best thing that you can get, not only from a president that runs all of this, but just from a staff in general, is when you're open and willing to hear the hurt that it has caused some people, and not just ignore it and just make out a blank statement. I think that speaks volumes, not only from our university, but as our president as a whole.
Yeah.
Now, do you feel like the president and his staff, they were transparent as far as what steps that they're going to take for the student that caused all this?
I mean, it took a long time for all of us to get on the same page. I mean, it's hard. Excuse me. When everybody has different feelings towards this, I feel like everyone has shared the mutual feeling that what he said was very insensitive.
Right.
But as far as the background of what people have experienced in the past, you don't really know how everyone's going to feel about it. And so moving forward, we kind of talked about just different policies. We talked about things moving forward. Some people brought up, like, one girl brought up a timeline, because they were saying it was going to take about a year to get this policy put in place. And we were like, well, that's not fast enough, because we are going to sit until it is put in place. So if you want your athletes out for a year, just know that there are people willing to do that. And so what everyone has kind of been working towards is, how do we come to a happy medium? And our happy medium is, we decided that we were going to start working towards building this new policy. Now, it's probably not going to come out until November, December time, because things like this does take time. You got to meet with legal team. You got to meet with a whole bunch of people to get this kind of put in place. But we have people on the board, such as myself, two girls on the volleyball team, and some other student athletes that are going to help kind of keep this moving and return to everybody with progress updates. If they do not follow their word with the progress updates, then we will go back to boycotting. And that's kind of what the statement said. As far as what football posted out, I've been off of social media just because I needed a break from everything. And so that's kind of what football posted, and that is what we're going with. And so they are understanding of that we want updates and how things are moving forward, and they're open and willing to do that for us. And so I think that is the biggest thing, is just not focusing on what they might not do, and focus on what they will do.
Yeah,
and focus on their word to just keep people happy. I mean, that's the only thing. I mean, everyone wants to be happy, and that's the biggest focus right now, is everyone wants to feel happy, everyone wants to feel safe. And understanding that this stuff takes time is hard to wrap your mind around whenever you're not in a lot of the conversations. But people who are on the side of things, like my fellow student athletes, it does speak volumes. So
yeah, and this kind of reminds me of a real life movie, Higher Learning. I don't know if you guys remember the movie Higher Learning with this, and I encourage people to go out, and if you're listening, again, we're talking to Chrissy Carr. She's a K-State basketball player, and I encourage people to go and watch that movie, because this really is playing out in real life. So I do encourage people to go and watch that movie.
Yeah. And moving forward, I think you all are doing an amazing job out there especially with the conversations that you've started. But my only hint of advice is just to keep asking and fighting for that radical change. You know, as radical as you can go, away from white supremacy and how the university has ignored it. Because I remember the blackface incident.
I literally
year or
just
two
moved
ago.
to Kansas whenever
Yeah.
that happened.
Yeah. So
I was like,
you have
what in the world is this? I've never been to Kansas before. Is this what they do down here?
yeah, and it's what they now we see it's what they do all over America. And it's not even just isolated to Kansas. So yeah, definitely keep fighting for that radical change, because it's, you know, if you guys don't demand it, you know, guys and girls, if you all don't demand it, they're gonna move as slow as possible. And then also don't accept any gestures. Like, the only thing acceptable is policy change and direct action. You know, we don't need any lift every voice and sing during the national anthem.
we appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us.
No problem. Thank you
Thank
guys.
you.
For having me.
All right. Good luck this season coming up. All right, that's Chrissy Carr. She K-State basketball player. We're going to take a quick break. Broadcasting live 100.1 FM. We'll be right back.
You're tuned in to the W with Walls and the Crew, where winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. On 100.1 FM and Facebook Live. Steve Walls, DJ Q, Noel, and this is the W on 100.1 FM and Facebook Live.
Back in on the W. If you're just tuning in, you guys miss Chrissy Carr, K-State basketball player. She joined us on the show. She's really, really bright young lady.
Yeah, definitely. I applaud her, because it takes courage, especially as a Black woman in America and in the current climate, to even speak up about anything. And you see, as she said, you know, a lot of people try to deflect from it and say that her reasoning was because of, you know, women's basketball not making money, not even understanding that this is something that affects her and everyone that looks like her.
Exactly. For her to be so young and to speak so eloquently about the issues. And like, you got to remember, this is a 21-year-old that just got attacked basically on social media for speaking of what she thought was right. So I think people got to realize that she's still very, very young, and to have the amount of pressure on her and to respond to it the way that she has is absolutely amazing. And
Definitely.
It bodes well for the future for us. So,
Of course.
And it's time for Hate It or Love It. Let's get into it.
Yeah.
Time for Love It or Hate It. Hate it. If we love it, we talk about it. If we hate it, we move on.
Sneakers of the week this week, guys. Air Jordan 14s. Gym Red. You guys like those?
of course, they need black and red.
Yeah, I don't really like these opposed to the blue ones. I'm kind of like on the inverse of these, like I am with the 4s. Like, I really like the red 4s and not the blue ones from last week.
Yeah. I'm taking.
I miss these, man. They came out on Thursday, and so it wasn't a normal, or I think was it Wednesday?
Yeah, it was Wednesday or
Thursday.
Thursday.
Wednesday or Thursday. But normally, you know, it's Saturday, so it kind of took me back when in the early or late 90s when they used to come out on Wednesdays.
Back when you used to skip school, huh?
I plead the fifth.
Oh, that was you? Oh,
Yeah.
I had no idea you was like that, Steve.
All right, women's Nike Space Hippie 4s, the Volts, man. How you guys feel about these?
I like the thick bottom of it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mesh well with the top though. Like even in the design, but I mean they probably look good on the feet. I don't know. They're not terrible.
Yeah, they
Oh
had
yeah, for sure.
a bunch of different colorways of this specific shoe. They also had a high top and another mid that was released as well.
It might look better in mid and high top. Yeah.
All right, the women's Nike Air Max 97 triple black.
I like those.
Yeah. 97s look good on women's feet, always, actually.
All right, how about the Nike Zoom double stack? So if you guys can see it, they have it's double stacked with the air bubble. So there's 2 air bubbles stacked on top of each other.
I didn't even see that.
Yeah, I like that. That's like different. I really vibe with it.
Yeah, pretty dope though. Pretty dope.
We 4 for 4 today. 4 for 4.
4 for 4. I would say 3 for 4.
Who's missing? Who's missing?
The Nike Space Hippie.
Yeah, he doesn't like the hippie. Yeah,
he ain't rocking with the hippie. All right,
nah. All right, man. This one I really want to talk about, man. So it's HBCUs, man. They're coming up huge now. So 7-foot 5-star basketball prospect Makor Maker is he committed to Howard University over UCLA, Kentucky, and Memphis.
Mm.
Is he related to Thon Maker or what's his name?
He's related to Thon Maker. Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So he's the highest ranked college basketball prospect to commit to a historically black college university since ESPN's recruiting database started in 2007. Hate it or love it.
Love everything. If we gonna go NCAA and if we gonna go NCAA, I would love the fact that we go this direction in it, because he could have easily went overseas or did the G League way and just skip college altogether, which still might be on the table. But for him to commit to Howard, that's big time. Big time.
My thing about it is, now that you have these big time recruits that are coming to the universities and committing to your schools, I would just hope that someone puts some money towards the universities to upgrade facilities. Just donate more money to these
celebrities.
Because
celebrities.
When you look at a Howard versus let's just say a Duke or Kentucky, they have their facilities will wow that young kid compared to going to this HBCU. Now, if they have a strong family that is saying, all right, this is what you should do, this is what you should do, that will push them in the HBCU direction. But if they're going and just blinded, like, okay, well, Duke has all of this, now I'm going over here to Howard, and they don't really have what Duke has, of course they're going to lean more to Duke, and they're getting the shoes, they're getting Jordan Brand, all that kind of stuff. So I would just hope that more people, celebrities, that donate more money to these HBCUs.
And we really don't even need celebrities to do that. We need the government to actually use that as a part of a plan of reparations. We can rely on celebrities all day and all night, but you know, they don't even track where their money goes. And you know, you have to be smart about donating and putting money into universities, because even in HBCUs, there are financial scandals that happen between financial aid offices and things like that. So we really don't. Yeah, we really don't need you know, celebrities really to chip in. It would be great if they did, you know, especially as a sacrifice, because we're asking these young gentlemen to sacrifice themselves and their careers, you know, for a greater cause. And it would suck if you know, certain players, you know, decided, you know, over, you know, Duke over something for selfish reasons, you know, when we're fighting for something bigger. But you also understand it. You know, we all have to make those personal decisions, and we shouldn't have to. So that's when the government should step in and allot some money, especially away from these police departments that are killing citizens. Because I mean, you never know, you know, these cops that are killing kids and different things, you know, the cure for AIDS could be in that brain that they killed. The cure for cancer could be in that brain. And, you know, the government needs to be able to push some funding and a big bulk of that funding towards Black people and towards historically Black universities for that very exact reason.
Facts, huge facts, actually.
Netflix to produce 6-part series on Colin Kaepernick. So Netflix announced on Monday that the 6-part series will be produced by acclaimed director Ava. So the series will be called Colin in Black and White, and will explore the quarterback's high school years, attempting to show the experiences and insights that led to his activism.
Yeah, really love it. Really love it.
Must watch.
Ava DuVernay. I believe she was the same director for 13th, the documentary on Netflix about the 13th Amendment. And
she's done a lot, man. She's done a lot.
Yeah, and it's
Selma, A Wrinkle in Time.
Yeah,
she also did the music video for Beyonce and Jay-Z's Family Feud.
Yep. So she's super talented. And it's great to see her coming up, especially in Hollywood, and gaining the access that she has to tell stories.
So Mark Turmel, the creator of NBA Jams, he confirmed the long-standing conspiracy theory that the game was programmed so that if the Chicago Bulls took the last second shot against the Detroit Pistons, it would always miss. So let's hear from Mark.
Being from Michigan originally, I'm a big Detroit Pistons fan. Making this game in Chicago during the height of the Michael Jordan era, there was a big rivalry, the Pistons and the Bulls. But the one way that I could get back at the Bulls once they got over the hump was to affect their skills against the Pistons in NBA Jam. And so I put in special code that if the Bulls were taking last second shots against the Pistons, they would miss those shots. And so if you're ever playing the game, make sure you pick the Pistons over the Bulls.
So NBA Jam creator rigging the game, hated it, love it.
Hate it, but whatever.
I mean, I love it because that's that whole petty vibe coming out. I love it.
So former presidents unite to pay tribute to the 100th anniversary of the Negro League. So a month-long Tip Your Cap campaign honoring the formation of 100 years ago of baseball's Negro League started on June 29th. So the Tip Your Cap campaign, directed by Bob Kendrick, president of the Negro League's Baseball Museum located here in Kansas City, is designed to bring recognition and respect to the enormously talented and courageous men and women who played the Negro League from the 1920s to the 1960s. So if anyone watching us is interested in joining the Tip Your Cap, here's the directions on how you can do it. So it's just basically a gesture to take a video with a short message or photo with a short caption, tipping your cap, and upload it to photos@tippingyourcap.com. So if you want more information on that, you can send us a message, or you can go to our make sure that you're following us on Facebook, and you can see the information regarding tipping your cap. But President Obama, he did the tipping your cap. Let's see what he had to say.
Today, I'm tipping my hat to everybody in the Negro Leagues who left a century-long legacy of talent and spirit and dignity on our country. So here's to Satchel Paige, Josh Gibson, Cool Papa Bell, and everybody else, including 3 brave women who did us all proud. There were some great team names too, like the Chicago American Giants. Couldn't think of a more fitting label for everyone who suited up. Congratulations, everybody.
Big. Yeah.
Bob Kendrick.
Gotta love Obama, man. Gotta love him.
He also showed an astronaut that took his helmet off and tipped his helmet and said that he was tipping his cap to the 100th centennial celebration of the Negro League. So that was pretty dope.
Yeah, that's big. Really big.
All right, so SoFi Stadium announced on Wednesday that the largest video board in sports is now complete. The 2.2 million pound board is composed of 70,000 square feet of digital LED and is 120 yards long and 1.2 times longer and 1.5 times wider than the field. The video board at SoFi Stadium, hate it or love it.
Where's what? Wait, I'm so confused. Who?
That's where the it's going to be in LA, so it'll be where the the Rams will play, and also the Chargers.
Oh, okay. And it's a video board that's gonna hang above the field, and it's just basically you'll be able to watch the game
basically
from farther away.
Yes.
Wow. I guess
Crazy.
you can't hate it. Yeah, I guess you can't hate it.
So the video board has more than 200 speakers embedded into its structure and has the widest strength to power 1,500 home theater systems.
Wow. That's a lot of TV.
Insane.
There's a lot of TV.
Man, it's gonna be pretty dope though.
Yeah.
A huge jumbotron is all it is. All right, so the NFL.
Yeah.
They plan to play the Black National Anthem before Week 1 games. So Lift Every Voice and Sing, a traditionally known as a Black National Anthem, is expected to be performed live or played before every Week 1 NFL game. And the league is considering a variety of measures during the upcoming season to recognize victims of police brutality. A source familiar to the league's discussions told The Undefeated on Thursday. Hate it or love it.
Yeah, you gotta hate it.
What is Lift Every Voice? Somebody has to
Oh
bring that
my
to me.
God!
What?
No.
You don't know this song, no? Come on, no.
It sounds like something I would hear at my church.
And sing till earth and heaven ring. Oh, come on, no. Oh, come on.
Like literally never heard it before.
Yeah.
When did it become the black
since forever?
I guess.
Yeah, since before
before
our time.
All right, so like what events did we typically play it at? Where would I have heard
everything we did here, from Juneteenth to the Black Expo to church choirs to
like I said, it sounded like something that I've heard at church.
Yeah,
it's in kindergarten.
Yeah,
at our kindergarten graduation, every day in kindergarten we sang this song.
Yeah, but how long has it? Like
long time before your time. Long time.
First time, long
time. Yeah. But it's insane that the NFL takes this step. They keep wanting to give us these empty gestures. We look at the Rock Nation partnership of allowing entertainers and different DJs such as myself to be involved in that, which is somewhat of a step. But this Lift Every Voice and Sing thing is a gesture, just a empty gesture. You look at the conversations we've had with Eric Bieniemy, having a hard time being able to get a coaching job because he's Black. And, we can't even mince words with that. It's because he's Black. We look at how unfairly Black quarterbacks are treated in the NFL. You look at Cam Newton having to sign a league minimum. Nathan Peterman has been on track to throw 200 interceptions in a season, and even he hasn't been signed for a league minimum. So again, it shows that, we ask for certain things to happen and they do things that doesn't affect them at all. Like it doesn't affect their pockets. It doesn't affect their biases. It doesn't affect anything except for here's a cookie and you should be happy with it. And I'm sick of the NFL even having these gestures.
I am as well. I feel like they missed the mark on this.
Very.
It's one of those things where, and if you guys go to you'll see some of the negative and some positive for this Lift Every Voice and Sing. It will be played before the national anthem. So if they're going to do this, I feel like don't just tease us and do it 1 week. It needs to be season long. And you know how I believe the NBA does it because they have a team in Canada, so they play the Canadian national anthem.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it should be a blanket deal where it's always played. If you're going to do it right, not just week 1 and say, oh, well, we did do it. They're basically doing this to say that they did it.
That's a slap in the face, honestly.
And
that's literally what it is.
That's literally all it is. It's just something to say we did it. It's to paint Black Lives Matter on a street, but not actually evoke actual change within police departments and and moving forward with defunding them. There's so much that can happen. The NFL could actually fund a committee that pushes the government to change the national anthem from a song that sings about killing slaves and Black people that are disobedient, and actually fight for change to have a collective of Black writers be paid outside of their record label contracts and be paid to construct a new song, and especially one that's inclusive for Americans as a whole. And instead of the NFL doing that, they want to cause, and not even cause a division, but perpetuate the division. Now we have two national anthems. Why don't we have one that's inclusive for all? So, the NFL tries to pride themselves on how smart they are and how thorough they are. But it seems like they just get really dumb when it comes to race issues. And it's just, you get tired of it.
Yeah, you really do. And we want to see more. To me, that's just what it is. I feel like we want to see more than just some empty gesture, as you said, Q. We just need to see more, and I really feel like they can do more, and they're just choosing not to.
We know the NFL is behind. They're just behind, behind on all fronts, really, when it comes to everything: CTE, race issues, paying the players. They're just behind, and it's like they want to be behind, just like our fellow Americans in the here that don't believe that Black Lives Matter is a legitimate movement, that believe all Americans should be equal as people. They're just like the constituents that make up a certain portion of our America, and it's sickening. Actually, it's just sickening because it could really just all be so simple. Honestly, I stand by that. I stand by that. But what else is new? So,
what else is new is that Cam Newton has signed a 1-year deal with the New England Patriots. So Cam Newton, after being off for pretty much a whole year, he signed with the New England Patriots. You guys agree with that?
I mean, I commend the Patriots for signing him, but I on the other hand, I don't commend them for the contract that they gave him. He has some incentives that he has to reach, and a lot of players have that. But you have a former MVP. You have a guy that led his team in his MVP year to a 15-1 season, and then also a leading his team to the Super Bowl on his back. And you look at a lot of the help that he didn't have and doing all that on his own, and for them to pay him the league minimum and then put these incentives in his contract for him to make his money, it's just a slap in the face to Black quarterbacks and Black people as a whole.
I think if it was any other team, I could agree that they did it as a slap in the face to Cam, but it is the Patriots. They never pay people. They never pay their players. His incentives, if we look at him for a second, he can earn an additional $6.45 million per if he's on the per game roster in different bonuses. But Cam wrote on his Instagram feed that this is not about money for me. It's about respect.
Of course.
And Newton has made more than $100 million over his 10-year career.
Of course.
Just $550,000 is what the 1-year contract is. His base salary is $1.5 million.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I hate it for him.
Yeah. You would want him to see him get more. I mean, he says it's not about money and it's about respect, but that respect comes in the form of that contract. And we were talking about it pre-show with Chris Jones. So
yeah, it is kind of disrespectful when you think about the other backup quarterbacks that are in the NFL and the lack of production that they've shown. And then you got Cam here, who is a former MVP, who's just a couple years ago had a productive season. We know he's been injured. We know his shoulders have been, he's been injured, and he's taken that year off. He's gotten healthy. The Patriots are, as far as the football goes, they're a model organization as far as evaluating talent. So I think they kind of know what they're doing. So as far as the contract goes, it sucks, and it sucks that we have to just keep proving ourselves. Like, hey, yeah, I'm this. But I believe in Cam, and I think this is actually a perfect situation for him to thrive in. And I'm waiting, and I'm expecting him to thrive just because of, like you said, he's motivated to prove everybody in the NFL that he's only 31 years old. That's nowhere close to the end of a quarterback's career. When we see Tom Brady playing until he's 42, Brett Favre played until he's 41. Like, he definitely has some good years left in him, and I think the league will be on notice once Cam actually is starting for the Patriots.
And we have a few more minutes before we get out of here on this 4th of July. The Washington Redskins announced on Friday that it would undergo a thorough review of its name and possibly change it after nearly 90 years. So the franchise came under scrutiny earlier this week as it was revealed that the team was reportedly barred from seeking a move from FedEx Field in Maryland to RFK Stadium in Washington unless the team changes its name. So a day after FedEx formally requested the Redskins to change their name, and FedEx is a corporate sponsor of the Redskins, of course, and the NFL. So Nike later then removed the Redskins gear from the online store. And Pepsi would follow suit and ask the team to change his name as well. So Washington to change their name, hate it or love it.
Didn't we do this story like months and months and months ago?
No, this story has been ongoing almost 50 years, and for them to keep ignoring it, it just shows the arrogance of racist white men. And I say racist because you choose to hold on to a team name that is in fact a racial slur. But then on top of that racial slur, the imagery that they use for indigenous people in any sports team that uses the imagery of indigenous people of this land, is appropriation, and it's heavily racist. And the refusal to remove it is to be on the wrong side of history, and that's what Dan Snyder is electing to do. That's what a lot of these college, NFL, baseball to MLB teams, they're refusing to change the name. But they also have these mascots and are appropriating a culture that they don't share their profits with.
I was just gonna say I would wonder how many people of Native American descent do they employ, or how many programs that support these people who clearly have been railroaded by the United States for the longest time. I wonder how many programs are set up to actually help these people out, and I can guarantee there's probably zero. And the amount of people
like the Redskins and the Chiefs and a couple of different organizations, the Indians in Cleveland, they have made donations to organizations, within the indigenous community that don't oppose them. But a lot of times those organizations are not for indigenous cultures, and they're more, for selfish reasons. So again, they're making donations and they don't even know where they go. But on top of that, they again, it's a gesture. It's to do something to say we did it. Because even we could even look at the Chiefs, the different, the tribe or tribes, I don't know how many they have, but the tribes that they've donated to, it's really just an empty gesture just to say they did something. But when it comes to using their image and their likeness every year, like we could take Facebook Live, for example. We can't play too much of a song on Facebook Live before it's shut down. So
Exactly.
if we just can't come in and take things that don't belong to us and play them for our profit, then why are white men able to come in and take all of these things from a culture of indigenous people of this land and profit off it for, the better half of a century? Like, so you're able to come in and steal that, but we can't even play music that belongs to Universal for our own profit. So
you mentioned the Indians. They basically have said that they've come out and said since this story has come out with the Redskins, they've said that they're open to discussing changing their team name. And so, of course, we still, like you said, have the Atlanta Braves, Florida State Seminoles, and the Chiefs. So,
yeah. So it sucks that they have to have these conversations and have to keep being reminded. And it's like, they've been screaming at you for 50 years and not even screaming at you. They've been asking politely for 50 years or more to change these names, and they don't want to because it's going to come out of their pockets to change that. And, they don't even split their profits with these organizations, which is, it just makes it even more atrocious.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Remember, if you ever want us to talk about a certain topic that you want us to talk about, it could be anything, whether it's sports, pop culture, anything you want us to talk about, text us, tweet us, or message us. Send us your topic, and we will definitely talk about it. Hashtag talk about it. And there's our text line, and you can also at the W Show KC. Fellas, what do you have going on for the rest of the day?
A little day party later, so gonna be getting ready for that in a second.
Sweet.
Quick little vibes. When I say quick, I mean in and out the house. Like,
yeah,
get there, chill, and then I'm leaving.
All right, we appreciate everybody who took time today to join in and watch our show, the W Show. Remember, you can like us on Facebook, follow us, subscribe to our YouTube, like us on Twitter, all social media at the W Show KC. We thank Chrissy Carr, K-State basketball player, who's standing up for what she believes in down at the University of Kansas State University. We appreciate her for joining us on our show. Until next week, we are out.
Peace.
The views and opinions expressed in the W Radio Show by the host, co-host, guests, and call-in listeners are solely the opinions and responsibility of the original source who expressed them. They now represent the opinions of the W Show, 100.1 Kansas City Radio, Multi Foundation, or affiliates.